Hey guys, welcome to the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast. I'm your host, Alex Whiteley, and joining me today is Tat Effby. Thank you so much. It's finally got you on the show properly.
Oh, well, here I am. Thank you for having me, Alex.
I've been dying to get you on we were just talking in the cafe just a second ago. Was it last June or something?
It was last June. Well remembered, Alex.
Yeah. Like somebody reminded me a few seconds ago. We're coming up to 2 years with the biscuit next month. November, next month. And it's gone so quickly. And I was just talking to you about sort of how things sort of mould into one with what we're doing here, because I live my life week by week, show by show. And that sounds really weird, but like all the time that goes into recording these, editing these, releasing these, it does just sort of mould into one. So I'm so glad that we finally got you on the show. Because last time we spoke for like 10 minutes, I think it was, something like that.
Yeah, we were sharing a very small desk, weren't we, and participate.
We were.
And I don't think I've ever been so cold in June as I was down. I mean, bless them.
And thank you for hosting, building.
But wow, it was cold.
It was tile floors, very hard surfaces, and it was quite cold. That was a weird day for me, I got to say, because I didn't quite know what to expect. I was like, can I turn, because I didn't have this stuff now. All the stuff's upgraded now, but I had the big mixer and the battered old microphones and the rickety mic stands. And I turned up and I was kind of like, yeah, I'm here to do this. I'm just going to sit here and speak to people. And they were like, you are? And you very kindly was like, I can scoot, because you had your display. Everybody had this displays, and there was people working on art. And that was the idea of the open art studios, that people could see people. Yeah. Doing art. So thank you for that, because you made me feel welcome in a place I was feeling a little bit awkward. Minute by minute I was feeling a bit more awkward, so thank you for that.
Well, we were invited in there because we were myself and Karen Siller, who was exhibiting with me.
Yes.
We don't have studios. Either we don't have studios full stop, or we certainly didn't have studios that people could come and visit, so that's why we were able to go down and use that space so people could come and see. It's
really important, I think, for people to see how art, especially younger people, to see how art is produced, because sometimes, I mean, people come in and see, your art is very kindly just on the wall there.
Oh, is there? I didn't even see that.
Yeah, that's a really nice thing that you did for me when we first moved across the way. You brought in some art to put on our wall, which was really nice. But people might walk past that and be like, oh, cool. Yeah. You don't realise what's actually gone into that. Yeah. So the Open Art Studios, I think, is fantastic. Hope next year everything goes back to normal and we can do something similar. Yeah, because I think it's every 2 years, isn't it? Every 2 years. Yeah, I think that Open Studios. We'll have to do it with a bang next year. Yeah. I keep saying 2021 is going to be like the biggest year in history. You know, if this all goes away. And they dump something, some mist of cure over this town, of every town. Like,
it's going to be like a crop sprayer.
Yeah, that's
like
what
in North by Northwest.
Yeah. If that happens, then everybody's going to want a party. Before we go properly into the interview, I want to say thank you for bringing me in Shrewsbury Biscuits. Actual Shrewsbury Biscuits.
Well, you see, they're probably not actually Shrewsbury Biscuits, because you were saying that Dee has a ruck with Shrewsbury Biscuits, and I don't blame her, but because they're dull. They are, aren't they? You know, like a vaguely lemony biscuit, and if you're lucky, you get a handful of currants. Do try one. So what I've done is I've done a lemony shortbread, and I put black currant in the middle. So I thought, well, I'm not putting currants in because it's not 1955. Who eats currants? Let's have some black currant marshmallow in there.
These are awesome. I'm going to do the cringy Instagram pictures, because you've got to see these things. They're awesome.
This is podcast gold. Are you going to talk while you eat?
I'll have a nibble.
This is a test of your professionalism, if you can actually
absolutely.
eat.
I'm a thing about
I'll
eating.
do one as well, and then it could be two people eating, talking.
I've got a thing about eating as well, so I understand people, but I'm not allowed to eat it. So here we go. I'm gonna try it now.
Oh, he's bitten it. He's chewing it.
Wow.
He's thinking about it.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Hold on, I'm going to go in now.
Amazing. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's all right, isn't it? That beats a... Well, this would have to be the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast, Shrewsbury Biscuit. Yeah. I've named it doubly for you. There you go.
Yeah, we can
have another bite, actually. Sorry.
No, this is great. I'm just nibbling on this. If you could taste we had like taste waves come through the podcast. You can taste. So the biscuits like got like a lemon zing to it, and then you got the blackcurrant marshmallow in the middle, which is great. Awesome.
Well, that's what I did this morning. Cheers.
You made these this morning? Wow.
Well, I made the marshmallow this morning. I didn't make the biscuits I made yesterday.
Bless you. Thank you so much. I always say people bring me food, we're best friends. That's it forever.
Good, that's it.
I feel like over the last year we got to know each other quite well. Simply on Instagram, really.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best thing about Instagram is you can show support, share support, and I love a lot of what you do because a lot of what you do is very fun, very light-hearted, very fun, and yeah, in today's world, you need that, right?
You do, yeah.
It's a special thing when you can just switch off for a couple of seconds for on Instagram and not see any pouty fish facey girls and just have something about what you're doing. I want to say a few thank yous as well. Actually, this is a weird place to put these thank yous, but I've got to do them at the beginning. I want to say a huge thank you to Shane Hinton, our Shane. He's been spending I think it's 2 hours and 1 hour sort of slots trying to fix my French piece of pants car. It keeps breaking. It's still not fixed. And when it's his day off or when he's got time off, I'm like, And the first day it was raining. He was lying on the floor. He was drenched. And this was the day after this is the same day I'd taken him to A&E because he'd gone over on his ankle. God. I felt terrible. I felt terrible about the whole thing. But so thank you, Shane, for that. And also to Chris Goff. We haven't put the adverts together. We're going to do some adverts for him because he's helping us. The biscuit's changing. We're going to be turning into a CIC.
A CIC,
CIC, which is a community interest company, because I feel like we're growing. I mean, it's amazing to see the growth of the show. I think it's just you see those figures go up and up and up. The amount of people coming to us to come on the show, the comments that we get, all these sort of things that you see, just makes you feel so happy. But then you're like, I want to grow. I want to sort of advance and involve the show. So we need more resources. So. That's why we're doing that. So he's helping me put all this together. So thank you, Chris, for that. Let's talk about a bit about you, because obviously it was such a long time ago I spoke to you. People might not have heard your interview yet. Ventured right the way back when. What was your entrance into art and to what you do now? Where did it all begin for you?
Well, specifically into what I do now, it's pretty much like anything else I've done in my life, which was a massive accident. So I was...
happy accident?
Yeah, mostly happy accidents. I was a advertising creative professionally for years.
A bit like MadMen.
Absolutely, totally like MadMen. Did we talk about that before? I always say I'm like Peggy Olson, but with a less tragic home life.
I love that show. Yeah. Go and watch MadMen. It's amazing.
I need to watch it again, actually. I watched it, it was 10 years ago, I think. I remember starting to watch it.
It was one of those shows where they were like, they put loads of love and attention into the build-up, and then they were just like, just end it. It was one of those shows. But
I invented the Coke advert. There you go, end. Cutting down.
There you go, yeah.
So it was exactly like Mad Men, if you can sort of imagine that, but less glamorous. I worked in Wolverhampton, and not to do down Wolverhampton, but it's not Manhattan. So, the suits were less sharp. So I was a copywriter. So I wrote the words to adverts. I had ideas for adverts. I'd work with an art director. So again, probably I never count that as a proper job because it was tremendously good fun. It really, we worked in a loft-style building with bare brick walls and a pool table, and you basically went in every day and you had a laugh with people who were incredibly funny and clever. And I'm blowing smoke up their bums now saying that because some of them might hear it. But it was such good fun. So I did that, and then because I was living in Shrewsbury and I was having to travel a long way to Wolverhampton, and I had 2 small children at the time, and we just sort of thought, do you know what, I'm not sure I can carry on doing this because there's a lot of late nights. There's, if you've got a pitch that comes in or something's gone pear-shaped, so you have to stay, and you could be there until 11 o'clock at night, which you can't do when you've got, very small children.
Is it a real dog-eat-dog sort of profession, or is it very inclusive?
Well, certainly in the places I've worked, it always felt very inclusive. I mean, you're in massive competition with other agencies, and there's only so much money out there. There's only so many clients out there, particularly when you're in a regional advertising agency. So that aspect, I think, was very.
I guess a big company is not going to be like, we're going to stick with him because he's a really nice guy. It's going to be like, well, what's going to make us more money?
Yeah. Absolutely,
So,
yeah.
That makes sense.
And someone will come in and say, I'll do that cheaper. Not better, but cheaper. Yeah.
During that time, what was your pièce de résistance, your amazing piece? What's the best bit that you did or put together with a team?
Well, the only one I can ever remember when people say, "What did you used to do?" or "What was your best thing?" was, it's terrible, and it was a miracle it ever got through. And this is one of the less glamorous clients we had, was Calagas, and I was writing about a bulk tank for liquid petroleum gas, and I just wrote the incredible bulk, right? It's a pun. You're not really allowed to do puns, but someone was obviously looking the other way, and it got through. So that was there on this piece of literature, and it was that in itself wasn't a great big campaign, but it's the one that always makes me chuckle because I actually managed to get a pun through, because they're very much frowned upon, which is probably why now most of my work, now I can please myself, is heavily pun based, because you can squash it down, but it's like a whack-a-mole. It'll pop up somewhere else, won't it? You can't stop me punning.
Your puns are the best. They are the best. So in that when you watch Mad Men, I know that that thing was set in the 50s and 60s, and the whole point of that was to illustrate the sort of toxic masculinity of that sort of industry. Was it like that when you were? Had it completely gone by the time you were doing it, or was it still kind of there?
Well, I've never been aware of that, and I don't know. When Me Too came out, I just thought, God, what's been happening to other people in these other companies? Because I don't know if I was just incredibly lucky and I worked with properly decent people, because as a female creative, you're not sometimes literally on your own, but there are not that many of you. It's mostly men. I worked with a woman called Christelle, and she's still my friend, and we were the two female creatives in a whole department. And then when I moved on and she moved on, we went our separate ways. And then I was, very often the only female in a all-male creative department. And as I was saying, when all this Me Too stuff came out, I thought, my God, I've been so lucky to work with decent people, because I never got not even a sense of that. And if my career was hampered in any way, I didn't know about it.
Yeah.
So I think I was very lucky, and I worked with decent people.
I'm glad. So in that case, it must have been. I know you do what you do for family. I'm a family guy myself. So when you stepped away from that, it must have been quite painful for you, right? Or did you have something to step into? I missed the people. I really did, because, like I was saying to you, it was such a fun atmosphere to go and work. Imagine, it sounds great.
You'd leave your children behind, and you would go and get on the train, and you would just walk into an office, have a coffee, and then shout some jokes around, and there was lots of laughter and lots of piss taking. Exactly. And so when I stepped away from that was the thing that I really missed. And you'd kind of go, oh, I thought it was something really funny, and you'd turn around and there'd be no one there to share it with. And at that point, I wasn't on social media, so I couldn't even, put it out there. It was just like, And that was where I thought, well, I've, lucky enough to not have to work at the moment. So what am I going to do with myself? And that's when I picked up a pencil and started to draw, because I'd written for so long and I hadn't drawn really since GCSE art. And that had always been something I'd loved doing, but it had kind of fallen by the wayside as I sort of pursued the writing more.
And I guess with a background in advertising, you kind of know where to go to get things illustrated and put into magazines, etc. Was that good? Was that an advantage for you?
No, not at all. Those worlds actually were sort of completely separate, because when I started drawing, it wasn't because I thought I wanted to be a cartoonist. I just wanted to see if I could draw again, with an idea maybe I could write some, picture books or draw some picture books and things like that. So I had no ambition, further than actually, can I draw this face well enough? Oh, okay. Because at the moment I'm drawing it so badly, it's making me cry.
Just a bit of practice.
So it was very low stakes.
Yeah.
And then from that, sort of the cartoons, like I say, happened by accident, because I was drawing certain things and then writing captions on them, and they were kind of funny. They kind of, when you sort of, something starts to gel, you sort of, if you've got any sense, you follow it, don't you? And you sort of see what its logical conclusion is, and you kind of, and again, if you've got a bit of staying power, you stay and you pick away at it and you just keep going. And I kind of have.
I mean, I've sat next to you. I've sat and watched you do your work, and at the time I was like, you were trying to work, and I was kind of like, whoa, that's amazing. Oh my god, well, that's great.
I think I was doing Robin Hood at the time, wasn't I?
And I think you were looking at a hat or something, and you just literally pulled something up on your tablet. You're like, okay, and you drew it, and I was like, what? How do you do that? How do you just look at something and just like, yeah, I know how to draw that now? That's just unbelievable to me.
But that is all that is practice. It's a muscle, like, and it's not even a physical muscle almost. I mean, obviously you have physical muscles in your hands and your arms and your fingers that are making the pen move. Yeah. But it's just kind of knowing and it becoming a thing that's other than something you're thinking about. It becomes a natural thing, and you sort of get to that stage where you're relaxed enough that it's all coming out of your pen by doing it every day, and just keeping on going.
I've got a massive, I've spoken to you, I best finish off that sentence, admiration for artists. Anybody that can do something that I can't, whether it's musicians, physical artists, painters, authors. I mean, I can write, but I actually never have the time to, and I kind of blah, blah. But anybody that can do that, I have a great admiration for, because I can't, and I'd really like to. I'd love to play in a band, and I'd love to be able to draw cartoons. One of my first, you ask your kid, what are you going to be when you're older? And I say cartoonist. I was a big fan of Garfield. I love those Garfield books. They were so brilliant. Mm-hmm. My mum, she bought me how to draw comic books thing for Christmas one year. A poster with like faces, like cartoon faces, and I would sit there practicing them. And I can do them today, those faces, but I never progressed because I went to art class. I did art in GCSE. And the people in that class just blew me away. And I was just like, I'm not that good. I'm not as good as him. Like my friend Ryan Perrin, who designed my Thorskin logo. Yeah. I love him to bits, but he could have walked into Marvel. Just walked straight into Marvel, bam. And I was just blown away with that. Like, it intimidated me a bit, I guess.
But I think there's sort of the drawing I do doesn't have to be exceptional, which is just as well, because often it isn't. All it is drawing adequately enough for me to get my joke over. I could draw. I went through a phase in the summer of drawing stick men because I just thought I was so fed up of putting so much effort into drawing this joke, and I just drew them. I drew sort of 20 jokes with stick men. I was like, oh my god, why am I doing because as soon as you draw a proper person, you have to choose what their hair's going to look like, what they're going to wear, what they're doing with their arms. They're going to have you've got to think about everything. Whereas if you're doing stick man, one stick man person says to the other stick person, da, 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 and there's your joke. But actually, that was almost like a practice. I thought I got that out of my system. I thought, no, actually, I do prefer drawing more specifically a person that I would recognise as a person, because I think you do lose something in a stick man.
Yeah, I bet, and that's what I was going to say. That I bet that when you do a stick man, the joke has just got to be. It's got to pop the joke. Whereas the artwork, if it's a bit more elaborate and shows kind of what's going on, that borrows to the joke as well. So it kind of marries up a bit.
Yeah, because I always think the better the drawing, it's almost like it's funnier that you've just stuck a facetious joke on it. Yeah. Like if you put so much effort into this and it's gone, and that's almost better, isn't it? Because you've put so much effort into it and all it is a joke.
Do you ever get joke sort of writer's block? Because sometimes you've got deadlines. People will know your work from My Shrewsbury magazine. It's round the bend, isn't it? Yeah. Round the bend from My Shrewsbury. Say Katie's like, we've got like 4 days until you got to get in. And
you've just reminded me I need to draw the back page. Instead, I'm sitting here eating biscuits with you.
She's on it. Do you ever get writer's block?
No, I don't ever lack for ideas. That's not to say that I lack for good ideas, but I will always have an idea. I'll always be able to do something for you. What I find comes and goes is the actual ability to draw. Like yesterday, I could not draw the face the way I wanted it to, because there was just something, I wasn't feeling it. And I don't sort of often buy into that, I'm not feeling it. Well, you've got to feel it. You've got to finish your job. It's like, when I was in advertising, it doesn't matter if you can't say, oh, the inspiration didn't strike me today. Well, I'm paying you for it to strike you, so can you go back and have an idea? So I've always got that in the back of my head. You have to be able to do it. Yeah. Whereas, I mean, I might as well have just banged my head against the desk yesterday. So I think the ability to draw naturally and quickly, that's like a kind of a breeze. Sometimes it comes in and I have like an amazing week and I've been productive and I've drawn, everything's come out the way I wanted it to. And then other days it's just like, it's just not happening.
Yeah, that must be heartbreaking for you because deadlines, things like that. But like you've got a natural ability, and everybody has a bad day at the office, but your natural ability can't happen on a bad day at the office, can it? Because you've got to get it right.
Yeah. Yeah. So you'll know if something turns up as a stick man, you'll know what's happened. Like if the back page for the Christmas My Shrewsbury is just a stick man, you'll know that I didn't get it back.
Tat's just gone, that'll do.
Tat Effby is unwell.
God, please. I had a bad night. I mean, last night I did a recorded show at 11 o'clock, so my day yesterday was ridiculous, and I was exhausted and I was fed up. I was wet. I'd been wetting through, and I kind of got in from work, had a business meeting, and then a part had come from my car, and Shane could only do it at like 5 o'clock, which meant I had like 3 hours sleep after a night shift. So I went and did that, stood in the rain for like an hour and a half. The car wasn't fixed. I was fed up, came back, had to write, create, put together a show, record it at 11 o'clock, and by the time I've gone live, I've gone yo. It's just one of those things.
Dig deep.
Absolutely. And then the BBC messaged me. I woke up yesterday at sort of like 4:30, because that's what I did. I rolled out of bed and drove to Shane, got to Shane's, and the BBC were like, "Oh, you're going to come in the morning."
The BBC, are they harassing you again? Oh God!
I don't want to do a Michael.
What a tough life.
No, I don't want to do a Michael Scott like, "Oh, the BBC, I was on the radio." I love going on the radio. I love the fact that I can go on there and just so many more people hear the name of the Shrewsbury Biscuit. You know, that's what I love about that. But I was just like, I really want to do this thing, but I'm absolutely exhausted. I did it, but I don't think it was a very good interview this morning. I've got to say, if anybody that heard that, I was just kind of, I kind of, when I'm tired, I kind of stammer a little bit, you know, I kind of struggle, you know, it's one of those things. I don't know. So being funny on a regular basis is just a case of, if you think about it too hard, it becomes harder, or can you just step away from it and then all of a sudden it'll pop?
My strategy is to think about it really hard and to, you know, throw it all down on a piece of paper. And just to keep going, like I say, it's the advertising background. There is an idea in there somewhere. You've just got to keep digging, and then you kind of you'll get sent off in, you know, down one route, and then you might find that's a cul-de-sac, so you back up, and then you go down another route, and then if none of that's worked, then get up and go and make a cake, or get up and go for a run, or get off your desk and go and do something completely different for an hour. So
it's not a case of just sitting and staring at a blank wall, just kind of.
Well, I mean, I think you can kind of recognise in yourself whether the staring at the wall has become unproductive. Because I find staring out a window is.
Just turn the chair
around.
Just
turn around, look out the window, look at the birds, or no birds, or just pretend you're looking at a bird, but just middle distance, white noise. Something will come, and if it doesn't, then sack it off and go and do something for an hour if you can afford to do that.
I've been putting shows together for I mean, sometimes with in the older days, I would create this just reams of notes, just like these things that we're going to talk about, especially in the early sort of Thor's-kin days. And sometimes like there wouldn't be a lot happen during the week, and you'd be kind of like, what am I going to talk about? And you'd have to just sit there and think, like, oh my God, there's no new movies out, there's no video games out, nobody's died. Like, what am I going to talk about? And you'd have to just, like you said, just sort of like put the things together, because you've got like a couple of hours before you hit record. There's nothing worse than that panic. Yeah. But it does create something.
Do you think it's a bit like when I, in the old days when I used to just go into a supermarket, happy-go-lucky, go into a supermarket. And before I stepped into that supermarket, I knew categorically the 10 things I had to pick up, and as soon as I walked across the threshold of the supermarket, poof, gone.
Yeah. It happens to me all the time. I mean, I was talking about on the show a few weeks ago that my kind of social anxiety is comparable to. Okay, so when I go into a shop, I feel like I've been in there too long. I've overstayed my welcome and I'm being watched. That's what social anxiety feels like for me, and that's always it happens a lot to me in the shop. I don't know what that is.
You mean sort of COVID era?
No. I mean like in general, forever. Like that's how I've always felt.
Do you feel
like,
you
like
give
a shoplifter.
off shoplifting vibes? Do you think?
Yeah, like this weirdo's been.
That's funny. I wouldn't have cast you as a shoplifter. No.
No, it's a weird thing. I kind of, but that's how I feel all the time, whether I'm in the shop or not. It's just it's a weird thing.
Is that imposter syndrome?
I don't know what that is. I've never been able to put a label on it, but unless I'm behind a microphone, when I'm in front of a microphone, I'm like, hey, welcome to the Shrewsbury Biscuit, Tat. Sit down, let's get you a drink. The Cartoon Festival.
Yes.
It's been a turbulent year.
Oh, Well, I mean, obviously, everyone's had it fairly wobbly, haven't they, this year?
Yeah, so I've been looking at the river today thinking, no.
Yeah, we can't. We've done flood. We've got currently living through pestilence. Yeah. So we're waiting for plague. What we're going to have next in Shrewsbury?
Shane Shebsey, who does the Weekly Bazaar with me, says they reckon they found a planet that's better than Earth. I don't know. There's some story, and I was like, well, say goodbye to humanity then, because then we'll be like, just right, okay, see you later, bye, we're gone. Screw you guys, we're going. Like, do
you not think we're all actually a computer simulation though?
Oh, like Elon Musk does, like he reckons.
Oh, does he adhere to that?
No, more that we are cyborgs because we've got these phones that carry on. We're cyborgs. No, we're not a simulation, but I do think there's a lot of a civilization that is a product of simulations, sort of experiments. So let's see how this goes in society. Let's see how this goes. So I do feel like that's kind of where we are at the moment. With COVID, I feel like I take it very seriously. Of course, I wear masks everywhere, social distancing. I clean everything down. I'm very respectful. I teach I got into a big argument with a really good friend who's going down the YouTube the conspiracy theory thing rabbit hole. It's really bad, and it's really not good for people. Whether you're one way or another, where you think about one thing or another, it's not good so that you feel like you have to affect people's lives with it every single day. That's not healthy.
Yeah.
But with COVID, I do feel like there are things being used. I think COVID's been used as a way to sort of like mold people a little bit. I feel like at the moment, like there's a lot of people going, "What? Why are you doing that? Why are you closing the pubs an hour early? Why are you doing that?" And like, I didn't understand why they closed the pubs an hour early. Not that I'm a big drinker or anything like that, but an hour early, what? Why? Why don't you close the pubs altogether? Or what's? I don't get it. I don't understand.
I presume I don't know, but I presume it's because there'll be some set of statistics somewhere that shows that you get leirier and less able to adhere to social distancing the drunker you get past 10 o'clock.
It's been one of those years where I think everybody's just kind of like, I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know what's going on to help.
There are some things we don't know, and that's pretty much everything.
Yeah. I'm still on the river thinking, please don't do that again. But what is going on with the Cartoon Festival? Because obviously we had the terrible news that we lost Tim.
Oh, that's so
this
sad.
year.
Such a loss.
That really hurt me, that did, because I was just getting to know the guy. And he was always pleasant when I spoke to him. So, like, the fact that I never got to know him properly was quite sad. I can't sit there and say, "Oh, he's my friend," and I miss him. But like, he was just a pleasant chap that I've met because of the show, So
we. I mean, personally, we feel the loss of Tim very keenly. The festival, as an entity, feels it very keenly because he did so much. Like it was always like, "Tim, would you be okay sorting that out?" And Tim would go, "Yes, I'll sort that out." And he'd go off and he'd sort it out. And he did all the publicity for us and things like that. Because he knew everyone, didn't he? So he put out our message beautifully.
And what I found intriguing about Tim is when we were planning our first interview, which was the Beatles weekend, I believe. We've been planning it a couple of weeks before, and we were chatting on Messenger, and he was very blunt on Messenger. He was kind of like, yes, no, maybe. It was just, but that's how he was. But then I was like, oh my God, this guy's going to be a nightmare to speak to. Oh my God, look how blunt he is on the message. Met him, he's lovely. Yeah. He's a really nice guy.
Such a nice person. Yeah.
So yes, we are all feeling the loss of Tim, but where does it leave you guys now we're planning the Cartoon Festival?
Well,
what's happening?
What is happening is that this Sunday, actually, I'm going to meet Sarah Knapp, who is now, I think she's the director. She's in charge, because Bill McCabe has stepped down at the end of last year or beginning of this year. He stepped down as festival director and he directed it, but Sarah had been on board for years as well. So she's taken over, and because we did nothing in the April festival when it was all originally scheduled for obvious reasons. What the festival committee have managed to do is they've managed to get the exhibition aspect of that, which the festival does every year, and that's back up and running, and that is being hung this weekend at the Bear Steps. So obviously, we don't have any of the events. We don't have any of the cartoonists. We obviously don't have the big boards that we used to have in the square because we can't do that. But the aspect, which was, I always thought was one of the biggest aspects of the festival, is going ahead, and that's the exhibition in the Bear Steps. So that's where you can go and see all the cartoons that were submitted along the theme of Vision 2020.
Nice.
And I think upstairs what they're doing is there's a second theme for this exhibition is No One Saw It Coming. So as I'm sure you saw, everywhere there is, there was a lot of material for cartoonists in COVID. So there's a whole separate exhibition up there, and I think we've been invited to submit 2 cartoons maximum. Otherwise it would be, total overload on the theme of the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
So people, I think it opens on a Monday. I don't know if it's open on Monday or Tuesday.
I'll get in touch with Bibbs and see what happens, see if we can go take some pictures, because
yes,
I love Bear Steps. It's a great place to go. Go in there, drop 50p in the box there, because they need all the help they can get. Some guy crashed into the building a while ago. I shouldn't laugh because it's terrible. Fish Street, yeah, somebody hit with the stilts, the wooden stilts. God. Imagine crashing into a 700-year-old building. Imagine being that guy. If you listen to the show, we love you.
Just don't come anywhere near the parade while I'm in here.
I'm going to get some pictures of that.
Yeah, do come down and see it. And I'm presumably, I know I was in there for other exhibitions, and there's. The numbers are limited to go in, so you can be socially distanced when you go in. It's all very responsible.
Is Luke going to be like Luke Crump? Is he going to be doing something there?
No, well, there's basically no cartoonist going to be there.
Oh,
I don't know whether he's submitted. He might have submitted for the cartoon. So
he's a great guy. I like him.
Luke's an absolute star. So he was going to do a big board this year, yes, and he was also going to do a workshop. All our workshops, I'm very, very grateful to our 3 workshoppers who we're going to lead our festival workshops. They've agreed to come back next year. Fingers crossed. We can just pick it up and start all over again. And I'm not even going to go there that we're not doing it that way. At this stage, we're just going to assume it's happening.
Put it in the diary. Yeah. I was chatting to my boss, if he listens to this, how's it go, boss, about the podcast, because this is what I do in work. I walk into work and I go, hey, I've got a podcast. Do you want to talk about the podcast? I've got a podcast. And they're like, oh
God, it's Alex and his podcast.
Yeah. And I was talking about what we've been doing on USUC, what's the difference the last sort of month. We've had a lot of
is that? I didn't realise that's how you pronounced it. Yeah, it's an extra joke. Yeah, I love it.
You suck. We did this Photoshop thing last night on the live show, where we get people to send in Photoshop things, and I called it "You Suck at Photoshopping." It's great. It's good fun. But we've spoken to a lot of sort of spiritual healers and things this month. It's been an interesting one, because none of us are kind of believers and all that. Mm-hmm. None of us are, so this has been like an education for us. And we're proper journalists. Like the Thorskin days have gone, where it's all inappropriate jokes. We want to find out about culture. We want to discover these things. I don't even know where I was going with this.
You were talking about spiritual healers.
Yeah, and it's just been one of those. I don't even know.
You suck at Photoshop. Yeah. Luke?
Why was I talking about that? Oh, God, yeah. Anyway, it's been an interesting month.
We were talking about Luke. Was it anything to do with Luke?
I don't know why.
You suck at Photoshop? You suck. Are you editing this bit out?
No, I'm going to keep it in because it's funny. I was talking to my boss in work, and I've been learning a lot about positive thinking. There we go. That's what that's my train of thought. And I was saying, I learned this thing, put it in the diary, and it'll happen.
Okay.
We'll put it in the diary and it'll happen. So this is what we'll do with the cartoon festival.
Right.
I want everybody in Shrewsbury just to think it's going to happen. It'll happen. It'll just happen. What are you working on in the meantime then?
I've just started online. It's not online, is it? It's on social media, launching on social media platforms. A new cartoon series called In the Olden Phrase.
Yes.
Which you very kindly follow. Thank you.
I do. I didn't for a while because I didn't know what it was until you were like, I'm doing this thing, and I was like, oh, okay, that's you. Okay.
Yeah. It's quite difficult. You can put certain messages out, but everyone's busy, so no one necessarily has time to see that. On one account you're saying, come and have a look at this account. I mean, I've got lots of lovely people have come across and followed me, so that's very heartening. So it's my series that's based on buzz speak and buzz phrases and jargon, modern contemporary jargon. And I write it as a spoof phrasebook, guidebook, dictionary, because, I'm just suddenly aware that there's all these new words popping into day-to-day, yes, exactly, into day-to-day language, and then things, all of a sudden going forward and reaching out, and all these phrases are kind of like, what's reaching out? Why don't you just say, getting in touch? And that's just because that's how language works, isn't it? It evolves, and then all of a sudden you can't think of an alternative to the reaching out.
Especially
and the touching face.
Street slang is about for like 6 months. I remember when I first started working with young people, that the one at the time was peak. Yo, that's peak. As in, that's terrible.
As in peak practice. I love that shit.
Peak practice.
Tim Peake, yeah?
There we go.
I'm down with the kids.
Peak
Tim Peake.
Is that even still on TV?
No. I don't think I even watched it.
That's
I was
so
too
funny.
cool.
Sorry, that really shit.
Sorry, Peak. I've not. See, this is fascinating. I've never heard of Peak. So has Peak been and gone?
It's like Peak.
It's peaked?
It's gone. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
peaked. It's gone. But Peak is like this terrible. That's crap. Sort of thing.
Oh,
that's
okay.
peak.
So it's not because I'd be going,
It's
wow,
peak,
that
yeah.
is Peak, and they'd be going, what are you doing?
What did you say to my friend? And there's things like it's lit and things like the street slang. I think is really funny.
Yeah,
really funny.
yeah, it is, and it's so rich. There's so much of it about. I mean, this is why I started the whole series, because it was based on the series I started that was in Private Eye for a bit, and there was so much material. There was just like so many ideas I had sparked off all these phrases I was hearing, and they were kind of firing the joke gland. They were firing the ideas
The
of
synapses. There we go.
Yeah. That I started. I thought there's so much material here. I'm going to write a book, so I wrote it as a book, and I have an agent for the book, but nothing's happening sort of publishing wise. So I thought, well, these jokes are so of the moment. I'm going to start putting them out on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook.
See what you can do.
Because I might as well. Because like you say with Peak,
yeah.
I can have a joke about a buzz phrase, but if it's gone by the time this reaches print, then what's the point? So
that must hurt you, because like to sell a book or to give jokes away for free, it's kind of like you're missing out on a bit of cash, maybe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? Because it doesn't mean that it won't ever be picked up. Yeah. Because often, you can get like a collection of jokes that have already seen the light of day, and it's still a nice thing to own. But a lot of my work has come via social media. People have seen my stuff, and then they've commissioned me to do other things. So actually, I mean, and to be honest, going right back to the beginning of the conversation as to why I started, not necessarily why I started doing cartoons, but why I started putting cartoons out there, and that was just as almost like to keep a present. It was almost like a shop window. That I've had this joke, and all right, I'll put it out on social media, and then that became the thing that I did, rather than it just being the shop window for the fact that I could draw things, and maybe I could draw something for you.
Yeah.
So, having a sort of a regular output, and keeps you present, and you can argue against that. You're giving your stuff away for free, yeah, but me not giving my stuff away for free is not going to get me any work. it's not going to make any difference. This is the way the world is. You kind of have to accept it.
It's like a business.
We didn't create this business model where everyone gives it away for free. We're just kind of having to go along with it and make the best of it.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose either way, one way of looking at it is you're not giving it away for free, really. You're advertising your skills, like you said, like you've just said. And that's cool, and you brighten in people's day up a bit as well.
Oh, well, bit of sparkle.
You're welcome, people.
Yeah.
When you work for someone big like Private Eye, or the things that you've done, what kind of creative restraints are put on you? Like, are you allowed to just go crazy, or they're like, we need this and you can't use that, and you did,
The relationship really isn't like that. It certainly wasn't like that for me. It was, you do your thing and you send it in, and if we like what you've done, we'll use it. Yeah. Which is pretty much, I think, how it works for most submitting cartoonists. There may be other people who have different relationships with publications, but certainly for the kind of like the gag cartoons, you do your joke, send it in. Yeah. If they like it, they'll use it. That's it. That's sort of the extent of the relationship.
I remember I used to do voices for this really, really big podcast. I used to do like accents and stuff. And the one time I remember him talking about this footballer that was a Brazilian that grew up in Italy. Right? He's like, can you do this accent? I was like, okay, I'll give it a go. I spent ages listening to this guy talk, recording bits that wasn't very good, and then I eventually come up with something that was okay, sent it to him. He didn't even use it.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and I think that's a big part of what I do, and that is working hell for leather on a project that you put your heart and soul into, and it never sees the light of day.
Exactly, yeah.
But actually, that's almost part of it, because even if the project doesn't get you to where you thought it would be, it's got you somewhere. Yeah. And, things tend to lead on from things in a sort of slightly accidental, roundabout way. Is
it one of those things where you look at it and you're like, oh, well... at the time you're like, whoa, but when you look back, you look, well, that was experience. Yes. Put it down to experience.
The mature part of me would say that. Yeah. And then the immature part of me would just like have a right old paddy and a strop and a shout. I think there's room to do both. I think it's healthy to do both.
But those things, once you've submitted them and they haven't been used, they're still yours, or do they own them?
Yes, if they've not been used.
They're
yours, yeah.
So you can just put them in a scrapbook and then save them for a rainy day, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was it called again? The new thing?
It's called In the Olden Phrase. And you can follow me on @OldenPhrase across social media platforms.
I love you, Tat.
Or if anyone finds me on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, then there'll be a link to the Olden Phrase on there as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. How did you meet Katie and end up in My Shrewsbury?
Social media.
Yeah,
so I mean, I'm actually a late convert to social media, because I couldn't bear the idea of it, like the noise and people just, like, this is what I had for my lunch, and so I didn't join it until about 4 years ago.
Wow.
And joined it specifically, like I say, with the purpose of having it as a shop window for
especially Instagram. Instagram's perfect for it.
Yeah, and again, Instagram, I was late to. I've been doing that a few years, and so I saw on Facebook that Katie was starting a magazine, and I'd been doing Round the Bend, which was a local cartoon based on the ducks on the river. And I thought, okay, this is it, right? So I sent her some stuff, saying, this is what I do. Would you be interested in using it? And she said yes, and yay!
She's ace, Katie. So we had her on the show a couple of weeks ago.
I listened to that, yeah.
She was amazing. Brilliant. I'm so glad to have had her on the show. And we've been, like, literally messaging, like, because with me and Katie, it was a case of, she'd be like, oh, we need to go for coffee. I'd be like, yeah, okay. And then a few weeks later, like, well, we need to go for a coffee. Yeah, okay. That's how that relationship went. Like, we'd meet each other at events and things like that. But now, since that show, we've been constantly messaging about ideas, because I've got some. I don't want to say them on the show because I don't want to ruin it. But we've got so many great ideas that we can work together with. And this is what people are doing at the moment. I feel is like they're seeing the biscuit, and they're like, how can we use the biscuit to do something special? And I think that's what the bid did with the So Stories they've been released now. They're kind of like, what can we do with Alex? And it's okay, he's a producer, we can make some stuff for us, and we did. It was nice. It's a great journey, it really is. With you at the moment, with COVID, how COVID's been going, have you been doing a lot of extra artwork? Have you been driving yourself crazy at home, or is this just the norm for you?
Yeah, it hasn't actually affected my output at all. The only thing, there was lots of material at the beginning, but of course the irony was that I had my entire family at home. Not my entire family, the four of us, we were all at home. My husband's a teacher. My kids are school-age kids, so all of a sudden everyone's at home and we're homeschooling. And I was like, well, I've got all these ideas, that's brilliant. There's lots of material. I have no time. I've got to sit down and pretend I know how to do fractions. I got quite good at fractions. It's all gone.
Like French and school.
Yeah. So actually it took a long time for me. And actually at the beginning, when the lockdown first happened, I was just like, my work, it can go to the side. It's fine. We've just got to get through and do this. Apart from, the things that had the deadlines. So I worked very little at the beginning. It was all about just staying sane.
And your artwork, I guess, can be sent digitally, or do you have to...
It's all digital.
Yeah, so that's easy.
Yeah,
that's easy.
It makes it very, very simple.
You have to send it via...
Yes, if I've got to the point of actually... Yes, if I've got to the point of actually drawing the picture, that's the job done. Then it can just click and off it goes. Yeah.
Katie's fine. She's happy with that. She really enjoys that.
Yeah.
What's Katie like as she ever sent things back, or she just generally delighted?
Oh, she's awful. No, she's not. In fact, often I think she's far too kind and she lets me get away with things. But she's just brilliant. Do it.
Just pun away.
Yeah, do what you want.
Pun away. I love it. I've really enjoyed chatting to you. Honestly, this has been really nice. We should do it again sometime.
Yeah.
With the cartoon festival, I would, because we know each other on Instagram and Facebook, things like that. Send me any links for the cartoon festival,
yes.
The dates and things. And people, please go and visit it. Go to Bear Steps and look at the exhibition there, because
yes.
you're going to be able to see what your local cartoonists and artists can do. You know?
But they're the contributing cartoonists there's some massive names in cartoons, like really, like proper cartoonists, not just me.
You are a proper cartoonist.
And you can actually buy the artwork. I think what we're very bad about at the Cartoon Festival is saying it's a selling exhibition. So not only can you go for free and look and, enjoy all the jokes, but you can actually, if you want to own a piece of art, and a lot of them are original drawings, you can buy them.
Yes.
And the money goes to the cartoonists and some to the Cartoon Festival.
Yeah, for the big party next year.
Exactly. When all this will be over.
You've been nice to talk to. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
No, it's been great. And I'll mention the So Stories. You should definitely check them out. They're really, really cool. I'm so proud of them. They are 4 audio tours that we put together for 4 locations around Shrewsbury. There's Old St Chad's. You can sit, you can press play, and you can just hear Maggie Love talk about the history of Old St Chad's. There's St Mary's, which is in front of us at by the parade shops here, and there is the castle with the amazing Nigel Baker. He's one of the best historians in town, and there is the other one, which is Bear Steps and Bibs.
I will check those out.
They're really, really good. Go to the original Shrewsbury, or Shrewsbury's Open. I think it's original Shrewsbury still, the website, and there is a link for them there. They're called So Stories. Make some plans for lunch in town. This is what I said on the BBC earlier. Okay, this is my best way of putting it. Make some plans for lunch in town. Download them all. Go and find out all the locations and have a great day. It's like cheesy. Give it a go. And also check out our website as well. Have you got a website? Can people check you out?
Yes, I'm Tat Effby.
.com.co.uk.
Oh, sorry, yeah, .com.
Make sure you check out Tat's website. And we've got one too, which is www.theshrewsburybiscuitpodcast.co.uk. All of our audio is available there. That's made by our friends at Web Orchard, who, if you listen to this, Pete, I'm sorry about the deadline. I've been missing with You Suck stuff. I've been busy, business stuff with the biscuit, and this episode has been recorded at the parade shops. We are tucked behind St Mary's here. It's beautiful run of shops. Make sure you check them out on social media as well. I think it's at Parade Shops on Instagram, on Facebook. Lots of colourful, bright things happening here. Every time I come in here, there's something different. There's a fitness instructor now next door to the Riverview Cafe.
I was about to eat some biscuit. And should probably go and have burn off some calories.
It's bad influence. Tat, you've been great to speak to you. Thank you so much for joining me. Guys,
Thank you for having me.
We'll catch you next time. Peace out.